Now, Andrew, on a broader economic front, so that's obviously great importance to the Australian budget on the upside. On the downside, those costs continue to mount up, and that was certainly noticed by the IMF.
Yeah, speaking of the budget, Kieran, we've had an IMF report overnight that puts yet more pressure on the government to do something about the cost of the NDIS, with the government already having ordered a review into the scheme to report by October. In reviewing Australia's budgetary policy, the IMF report questioned the sustainability of the Stage 3 tax cuts the government is committed to, but it also said that the government needs to crack down on the NDIS and should look at means testing the scheme or some form of co-payment. The report says, and I quote, "Structural spending pressures and an income tax cut limit the pace of medium-term budget consolidation, despite the Commonwealth Government's focus on budget repair. In addition to higher interest payments, cost projections for the National Disability Insurance Scheme have been revised up significantly. A multi-pronged approach is needed to contain spending growth in the NDIS. The planned review of the program was welcomed, but the report said it should review all aspects to make it efficient, equitable and sustainable." It goes on to say, spending grew rapidly, reaching nearly 1.25% of GDP. Public spending on incapacity, including the NDIS, is above the average of OECD countries and is set to increase further. NDIS expenses are projected to increase by around 1 percentage point of GDP over the coming decade. And it talks then about a cost-sharing scheme or means testing. It has already been well reported this year the government will spend $5 billion more on the NDIS than it spends on Medicare, and that gap between the NDIS and Medicare continues to grow, Kieran.